Hello, my name is Jamie and welcome back to the channel. Unlike any other channel that showcases Pokemon Go PvP content, my channel exclusively showcases Shadow Pokemon. So if you're into that type of content, I'd appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. So let's get into today's video. Today's video is actually a team I would recommend. Unlike some of the other teams I run, which is merely just to showcase Shadow Pokemon, I do believe this double tank strategy is a strategy you can use to climb in GBL. As I've mentioned previously, I did reach my season high last season of 28-17 using this double tank strategy. This team functions as a pretty standard ABB line. We lead Swampert and we hope to catch any counter users. Obviously we're playing in the Open Ultra League, counter users aren't that common, as obviously threats like Giratina and Cresselia absolutely shut them down. However, if we don't see a counter user in the lead, we do safe switch to Snorlax, obviously hoping to bait out any counter user in the back. The way this team functions, we lead Swampert. Obviously if we see one of the big legendaries such as Cresselia or Giratina, we look to catch any charge move onto the Snorlax. We use Snorlax essentially as a damage sponge, and we look for either Swampert or Lapras to close endgame. As usual, you can see all the IVs on the left hand side. And I do believe that this team is a team that you can all have great success with. There's no XL Pokemon, there's no legendary Pokemon, they're all accessible. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. So, moving on into this first battle. We've got our Shadow Swampert lead into a Talonflame. You love to see it, this is the dream lead. They instantly swap into a Blastoise. We don't have a great answer for Blastoise. However, we're going to use a damage sponge and we're going to look to get it as low as possible. We're not going to shield anything, we're just going to look to get a Blastoise as low as possible. Even if we lose switch, it's no big deal, as our Lapras can come in and get a back-to-back surf. So therefore, the Talonflame that we saw in the lead is going to be in a lot of bother, as both our back two Pokemon have a fantastic matchup. So we lose lead there, like we said, in comes Lapras. You can see there we're not going to throw the charge move. Whatever they throw is not going to hurt us. Hydro Cannon, that's no problem. We're over farming, we get to the back-to-back move. This first surf will take out the Blastoise, and we've now got a surf to throw at the Talonflame if it comes back in, or whatever they've got in the back. In comes Talonflame. So Talonflame's using Incinerate. That's a 5-turn move, we're using Ice Shard. So like you saw there, we throw 3 Ice Shards, then we only give away 1 free turn. So that was our 9 turns versus 10 turns. That's how you correctly need to play it. Flame Charge coming through. We now throw another surf off. We get the last shield. We goad them into thinking they can farm us down. However, as soon as they throw the next Incinerate looking to farm us down, we tag in Swampert as a move ready. Take out the Talonflame, and in the back they've got a Charmer. Obviously Shadow Swampert is quite squishy, but we know it's really spammy, so looks like we're going to close out this first game with 2 shields. So like you see there, the double tank strategy straight away comes in clutch. Close out this end game with 2 shields saved for Season 9. GG's to the opponent. So moving on into this next lead. You'd think Cresselia is a real bad for this team. So what we look to do, we look to catch the Grass Knot on 6. However, they don't throw. Last season, a lot of Cresselias was running Grass Knot. This season, a lot are running Future Sight Moonblast. We always look to catch on 6. However, obviously, as they're not running Grass, that's quite difficult. In comes Registeel. This is an alright matchup for us. We're just going to look to get off the back-to-back superpower. First superpower coming through. We look to get the second one off. Opponent throws his energy. This is no problem for us. Opponent throws a Flash Cannon, which we survive. We throw another superpower. This is going to get the opponent really low. We're looking to lick down. Unfortunately, we get lock on down. We're going to wait out our switch timer, and we're going to look to throw our Hydro Cannon on the CMP. It's only a Flash Cannon, so there's no problem. We're going to let this go. And we managed to farm him down. This is great. We're now loaded full of energy. Let's see what the opponent brings in. Opponent brings in a Giratina. We're now in a great spot. We're going to fire off this Earthquake. It's got 100 energy. Opponent lets it go through and we bring in our Lapras. Lapras has an alright matchup with Cresselia, especially as this one I believe is not running Grass Knot. So we're going to fire off this Surf. Charge move coming through now. Opponent throws a Future Sight, which does hit really hard. However, you can see the Cresselia is deep in the yellow already. I already know that my win condition here is Lapras. We need this Lapras to do a lot of work. We need it to take out this Cresselia and the Giratina. So we're now counting our fast moves. We're looking for our switch timer. We fire off this next surf. We're counting their fast moves. We now see our switch timers coming up. As they reach the Moonblast, we tag in Swampert. We're going to use Swampert essentially as a third shield, so Swampert goes down. I'm now going to look to completely farm down this Giratina, as I believe my win condition is completely farmed down and throw the back-to-back surfs into this Cresselia. It's a really, really aggressive play. You can see there 1 HP in a dream. We're at the back-to-back. So this first surf's going to get the shield, and this second surf is going to take him out. GG's to the opponent. Great win for the double tank strategy. So moving on into this next battle, we see an Articuno lead. We're looking to time our charge moves so we don't let any ice shards through. Opponent shields up. They don't need to shield this first Hydro Cannon, as they can win in all even shielding scenarios. We're going to let it go as we've got Lapras in the back. Icy Wind comes through. We now get off this next Hydro Cannon. We're going to try and get this Articuno low. We're going to bring Lapras in and farm down. However, as you can see, great bit of go battle lag. Articuno completely farms us down. They get about 7 or 8 ice shards and we get absolutely nothing. You love to see it. Go battle lag has absolutely wrecked us. In comes Lapras. They've now got enough for the Hurricane, however I can't afford to shield. They do throw the Hurricane. So I believe they're 5 ice shards short. So I try and throw on the 4th. However, I've obviously miscounted. They've obviously got enough for the Icy Wind. We're now in a real rough spot. The Articuno farmed essentially about 80 or 90 energy off our dead Swampert. However, we are going to play it out. We managed to farm down. We're loading energy. As we're double debuffed, we look to bring in Snorlax. So they've brought in Lapras. So this can only mean one thing. We've seen Articuno, we've seen Lapras. We can absolutely guarantee this is the Oxford U double ice trap. There's the Giratina. So lag has cost us this game, as this would be an easy victory for us. However, we perhaps have got a win con here. I'm going to look to build up to the back-to-back superpower on Snorlax and switch out into our Lapras. Our Lapras has got an Ice Beam ready. So we're going to shield this move up. We're now in even shielding scenarios. You can see there at the back-to-back. In comes Lapras. You see me hit the Ice Beam, and yet again, yet more lag. So not only do we not get the Ice Beam off first, Giratina gets a Shadow Claw in, which is absolutely fantastic, and they win CMP. Lapras should win CMP against Giratina, as we've got 136 attack, so this Giratina has either a 14 or 15 attack to beat us in CMP, so absolutely everything's going wrong in this game. However, we're going to try and get this Lapras low. You can see there, if we did manage to get that Ice Beam off, we'd manage to save a shield here, which we could shield this move up, and we'd be able to get a back-to-back superpower. But unfortunately, the state of the game right now is pretty terrible, as you all know. So, go battle lag has cost us. Not really a lot you can do. GG's to that opponent, you can't win them all. Again there, you can see the double tank strategy, really strong against a really common meta line. So even though we managed to get completely farmed down and lagged out, we actually almost had a win con. If we could have got that Ice Beam off, we could have potentially still won by double superpower on the Lapras. However, it is what it is. We take a loss there. We're going to try and pick momentum back up, moving on into this next battle. After the dreadful gameplay here, I did actually take a few hours off and I got back to it. So, moving on into this next battle. Let's hope we see no lag and we manage to get some smooth gameplay. So, we have our Shadow Swampert lead into a Obstagoon. So, whenever you see Obstagoon, I'm already thinking it's probably an ABB line of either Obstagoon Double Charm or Obstagoon Double Fire. Obviously, our team's really weak to counter in the back, so we're glad to see it. If it's Obstagoon Double Charm, they usually look to catch the second Hydro Cannon on their Charmer. However, this Obstagoon's staying in. So I'm thinking it's potentially Obstagoon Double Fire. I'm going to shield this up, and we're going to look to see if the opponent wants to commit 2 shields. We beat him to their next Night Slash, so the opponent's either going to have to go on 2 shields or lose switch. In comes the Dragon Breath Charizard. We managed to get to this Hydro Cannon, so we managed to take the last shield. We've seen Obstagoon, we've seen Dragon Breath Charizard. We can absolutely guarantee it's going to be a Talonflame in the back. This Charizard has farmed a bit of energy, so we're going to bring Snorlax in as a damage sponge. Essentially, this Snorlax is just going to soak the energy because we know Lapras are win condition. We tank the Blast Burn, we get this Body Slam off, get the Charizard low, and we instantly swap into our Lapras. Our Lapras is now going to close this game out. Charizard stays in as obviously Talonflame doesn't want to see this Lapras. We shield the Blast Burn. In comes the Talonflame. We're going to fire this first Surf off. This is going to get him super low. I'll fire one more Ice Shard. I didn't really need to do that as this is already game over. Take out the Talonflame. Back in comes the Charizard and they back out. GG's to the opponent. So like you saw there, even though Lapras had a much better matchup with Charizard than Snorlax, we read the team comp, we knew what they had in the back, so we used Snorlax as the damage sponge. So that's anticipating team compositions and playing accordingly. So moving on into this next battle, pick up a great lead against Talonflame. The Talonflame is staying in. They fire the Brave Bird, and now in comes Cresselia. So we switch out into our Snorlax, looking to catch the Moonblast, which we do here. And we're going to look to fire off these Body Slams. This is an alright matchup, it's a pretty neutral matchup. It's pretty dependent on who wants to commit a shield. In the 0 shield, Cresselia will just win. Obviously, if we want to commit a shield in the 1 shield, we will win due to the licks doing a lot more than the Psycho Cuts. Charge move coming through, we're going to get this Body Slam off. Get the opponent really low. The opponent is going to have to throw, or we will manage to lick down. We're not going to get our last shield, we're in a great spot. The Cresselia's only got 2 Psycho Cuts worth of energy, so we're going to bring our Swampert back in and we're going to look to mudshot them down. Our Swampert's now almost at 100 energy and in comes Giratina. So we're going to fire off this Earthquake, which we do here, and our Lapras is yet again in a prime position to close out this game. Really lazy timing on my part. I should have threw 1 extra Ice Shard. However, we've already know this is a GG. We're going to shield this move up, commit to the fast move farm down, and there's absolutely nothing this Giratina can do against our Lapras. And the opponent actually backs out, so GG's to the opponent. So we get a pretty solid first set. We go 4-1. Potentially could have been 5-0. But I can't really moan as we're all getting lag. It is what it is. It's part of the game. You win some, you lose some. And like you see there, we move on up to 23-37. Moving on into this second set of battles. We have our Swampert lead into another Swampert. Ours is Shadow, theirs is regular. So like usual, we look to try and get the extra mudshot in. However, the opponent looks to do the same. We CMP tie. Just 1 short of the back-to-back, so we can obviously tell that the opposing Swampert has a higher attack than us. So we're going to fire off this Hydro Cannon. And we're going to look to catch this next move. The opponent actually doesn't throw. And they bring in Registeel. Snorlax can tank a Focus Blast from full health, so we're not going to shield this up. Focus Blast comes through, gets us quite low, but we're going to have more than enough HP to get off the back-to-back superpower. We'll see what the opponent wants to do. Opponent now commits his first shield, and we're now going to get off another superpower. This should get it down into half health, around into Hydro Cannon range. The opponent actually lets us get off another superpower. They look like they're committing to the lock on down. Opponent's getting super low. They just about managed to lock on down. That's fine for us. We'll take shield advantage. We are really low, so we're going to have to shield this move up. And we're going to mudshot them down. In comes the Swampert of their own. They're left with a move, so we're going to shield this up and look to instantly swap into Lapras. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opponent looks like they're staying in. They look like they're trying to get to the Earthquake, but the Shadow Ice Shard damage is just too oppressive. And in the back, they've got a Talonflame. Opponent lets the first one go through. However, they're in a real rough spot as we've got 2 Pokemon in the back. They've got a real matchup with good matchup with Talonflame. They're going to have to Brave Bird us to take us out, which they do. We've got a move ready on Swampert. So this is going to take out the Talonflame. And the Registeel in the back's got no HP. So GG's to that opponent. Off to a 1-0 start in this set. So we're going to pause the video there for a second. And yet again, we're going to talk about why this team's so effective. Some of the top meta threats, such as Talonflame, we've got two real good answers for Talonflame in Lapras and Swampert. Even Snorlax has an alright matchup with Talonflame. Another top meta threat, such as Giratina, we've got Lapras that absolutely pummels Giratina into oblivion. We've got Snorlax has an alright matchup. Swampert, landing the Earthquake, again has a good matchup. Cresselia is a bit of a threat. However, all of our Pokemon with energy and shields can do well, and obviously Registeel, we've got Snorlax who handles it, Swampert that handles it, and Lapras with shields. These Shadow Surfs are no joke. So that's pretty much how I've picked this team together. So moving on to this next battle, again we get a Talonflame lead, which is fantastic. Opponent is staying in, so we look to fire off this Hydro Cannon. I expect this to draw the opponent's first shield, which we do. We're now at another Hydro Cannon. I expect this to be the Brave Bird. It's just a Flame Charge. Now the opponent switches into Kingdra. I'm going to fire off this Earthquake. The opponent doesn't shield. This does huge damage. We now look to bring in our Snorlax. Opponent gets to move. It's just going to be an Octazooka. We don't need to shield. Hoping for no debuff. We don't get a debuff, which is great. Our Snorlax is now super healthy and full of energy. In comes Clefable. So we're trying to time our charge moves to not allow any extra charms in. First Body Slam comes through. Clefable's now in the yellow. Again, we look to time our charge moves just before they get to a move of their own. Clefable's now super low. We're looking to lick down. We don't quite manage to do it. However, we do reach another Body Slam. So the opponent now shields. Opponent has got a move, so we're going to bring in our Lapras. And we manage to Ice Shard down before they get a move off. In comes Talonflame, and they back out, so GG's to that opponent. So once again, you can see the power of the double water strategy, as both Lapras and Swampert have real good matchups with Talonflame. So it's kind of, this team works that it's not reliant upon winning switch advantage. We have great answers for all the top meta threats with various Pokemon. So the best thing is, yet again, we've got the coverage, and it's quite a cheap team to build. We've got no XL. So let's move in into this next battle. Off to a 2-0 start. Let's see if we can keep the momentum going. So we have our Shadow Swampert lead into a Cresselia. Again, not a great matchup. We're going to look to try and switch out and catch the Grass Knot. We don't manage to do that. Opponent stays in and throws this energy. I imagine this is going to be with a Moonblast or Future Sight. Is a Moonblast, and now bring in Talonflame. So obviously you want to time your charge moves to not let any Incinerates through, so I normally look to throw 4 licks before throwing off my charge move. Opponent is over farming, so we now manage to throw off another Body Slam. This is going to get the Talonflame really low. Opponent actually draws a shield. They're still farming up. I imagine they're going to throw a Flame Charge, which they do. I'm going to wait my switch timer out. I looked through the Hydro Cannon. Unfortunately, we lose CMP. Just a Flame Charge. So we're going to no bubble this move. And we're going to look to Mudshot down. Opponent switches out back into Cresselia. We're ahead in energy, so this is an alright matchup for us. We overfarm quite a bit, and we look to throw us his first Hydro Cannons. These Shadow Hydro Cannons do about 33%, so they're no joke. We're going to look to now save that Hydro Cannon and switch into our Lapras. You can see their Lapras soaks up these charge moves a lot better than Swampert. We're over farming. Charge move coming through. We can obviously take another one. This Lapras is now deep. This Lapras has got this Cresselia now deep in the red. They're now bringing an Umbreon. So we're now in an alright spot. Umbreon doesn't really hit particularly hard, so we get the first Surf off. We now look to land this Ice Beam. We've now got this Umbreon deep into the yellow. Foul Play takes us out. Swampert's now in a prime position to close this game out. This first charge move is going to get him quite low. They actually shield it up, so we're now going to match shields. We expect them to try and swap, so we over farm. The opponent does still manage to sack. However, they brought in the Cresselia, so there's no problem, as we was going to have to throw a charge move to get rid of it anyway. We undercharge, so we can get a few more mudshots in. Now the opponent's going to be unable to sack, as they've already bought. They're obviously going to have to wait a minute for the switch time to come back up. So charge move takes out the Umbreon. We managed to get a little bit of a glitch there on my phone. However, we could no bubble this and still take the Talonflame out. GG's to the opponent. We managed to go off to a nice 3-0 start, so moving on into this next battle. Let's see if we can keep the momentum going. We pick up a lead against a Regirock. Regirock's a great lead for us. They instantly swap into Cresselia, so yet again we're going to build up and look to catch the move on Snorlax. Opponent doesn't throw, so this opponent either wasn't going to throw the Grass Knot or they're not running it. They throw a Moonblast and we get a debuff. This is terrible, because now Snorlax is going to be unable to win this matchup. Opponent is running Grass Knot, they fire a Grass Knot there. We're going to look to try and get this as low as possible. You can see there, after a debuff, these body slams really don't do a lot. However, we're still getting the Cresselia quite low, but we're going to just let this go down. We're now going to bring in our Lapras. We're going to look to take one move and look to Ice Shard down. This Cresselia is still quite healthy due to the debuff, so I'm unsure if we're going to be able to do it. First move coming through, this should be the Grass Knot. Does around 33%, maybe 40%. Then now at the fifth move, this Ice Shard does register, so they are going to go down. However, we're in a rough spot as we're going to have to shield. We needed to get just a little bit more damage off. In comes the Regirock. Regirock's, although a very good pick, we don't see too many of them, so I'm unsure how much these Surfs are doing. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite do enough. So I'm going to get the back-to-back off, and I'm now looking to catch the Stone Edge on Swampert. Unfortunately, I mistime it, so we're going to have to use our last shield. But we instantly swap in the backs of Giratina, so we're in actually an alright spot, although we are down shields. We're at 100 energies, we fire off this Earthquake, gets the first shield. We now fire off the second Earthquake. Let's see if the Giratina wants to commit his last shield. He lets it go through. So like you saw in our first battle, we're now going to look to completely Ice Shard this Giratina down. Charge move coming through, this is going to take out the Swampert. With a Lapras should be in a good position now to commit to the farm down. You can see I'm not throwing my energy. Charge move coming through. They're actually on an Ancient Power, which is terrible. So we look to commit to the farm down, we simultaneously KO. So in this matchup we made a few mistakes. We looked to commit to the fast move farm down Cresselia, we fell short. We looked to catch the Stone Edge on Swampert. Again, we didn't manage to do that. So a couple of mistakes. So we lose that matchup, but GG's to the opponent. You've got to capitalise on your opponent's mistakes, and in my case, I made the mistakes and my opponent capitalised. So moving on into this last battle, let's see if we can go 4-1. We see an Umbreon lead. Swampert does win this matchup in all even shielding scenarios. I overfarm quite a lot and look to get off his Hydro Cannon. You can either throw 3 Hydro Cannons or 1 Hydro Cannon and an Earthquake to win this matchup. Charge move coming through, I'm going to commit a shield here. And we'll see what the opponent wants to do. They brought in a Charmer. So I'm going to fire off this Hydro Cannon and look to swap into our Snorlax. I swap into Snorlax because Snorlax obviously doesn't have a great matchup with Umbreon, as Umbreon does resist our lick damage. So I'm going to look to try and get this Clefable out of here. The opponent now commits their own shield. Charge move coming through. I believe we can survive it, so I let it go. And you can see there we survived just about, and we managed to get off its Body Slam. However, even if we didn't survive, it'd be no big deal, as that Clefable would be in Ice Shard downrange and would manage to get ahead in energy in our Lapras. However, this is fine as well. Back in comes Umbreon. They get a Snarl's worth of energy. We'll bring our Swampert back in. I'm going to fire off this Hydro Cannon, hoping to draw the opponent's last shield. They don't shield, so I'm going to look now to try and catch the foul play. However, they don't throw, and in the back they've got a Gramble. So they was running a dark double charm strategy. However, Shadow Lapras does have a real good matchup with all Charmers due to his fantastic bulk. The first surf gets the shield. This second surf should take him out. However, Shadow Gramble just about survives with 1 HP. So I'm going to let this move go through. One mudshot should take out the Gramble. And we've now got a shield to shield up this Umbreon's move. They don't throw. They're obviously looking to get to the back-to-back. However, Swampert manages to clutch out this game. And that's GG's to the opponent. So you could see there, the double tank strategy is really, really solid. I went 8 and 2. Obviously, when I faced the double ice strategy, the lag cost us that match. I misplayed one. So we could have actually went 10 and 0. I normally cut the bits with the rewards, but you can see there we managed to get the shiny Reggie, so I kept it in. Like I said, this is a team I would recommend. It's really solid. There's no XL, so if you are struggling Ultra League, this is a team I would recommend. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next.